winging it today, folks. Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, my name is Ashley. I run Lace Spirit Designs, and I'm an independent artist and illustrator who has been selling her art on the side mostly since 2017. I sell online and at conventions. And in 2021, I decided to take my business full-time. So today, even though it's already March of 2022, I thought it would be a good idea to talk to you guys about the income and the expenses that I made and spent in my first year full-time. But before we get into that, I would love it if you guys would click that subscribe button if you are not already a subscriber to my channel, and even click the bell so you know when I upload a new video. I like to try and upload once a week. I usually do studio vlogs. Periodically I'll do convention vlogs from the Artist Alley, or reaction videos to cartoons and anime, and other kinds of tutorials and helpful videos like this. So I would like to preface that I won't be talking about actual dollar amounts in this video because I'm a little weary of doing so, because I feel like some people might take it the wrong way or get the wrong impression of me and my business, and I don't know that it'll be entirely helpful if people are fixated on the numbers and not the information. So I will be talking about percentages and that kind of thing. I'll show visual pie charts and all that stuff, but I will be sharing the full numbers on my Patreon. So if you want to join my $5 or higher tier on Patreon, you'll get access to this video and all of the dollar amounts. All of my dirty laundry will be aired, and you'll have access to that. So before I get into revenue streams and all of that stuff, I would like to give a little bit of background about where I started as an artist and all of that. And if you're not interested in that part, you can skip to this time and go into the revenue streams and all that. So I remember I've always been an artist, first of all. I've always drawn. People will tell you I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil. It's probably true. I don't remember a time where I never drew. So I ended up starting my college degree going for animation and switched to graphic design because I thought it would be the easier path to make more money, which I'm honestly glad that neither of those things have worked out for me, but I am thankful for the experience. In high school, late high school in the late 2000s, I do remember hearing about conventions and hearing about artist alleys and seeing people make merchandise out of their art, and I really wanted to be a part of that, but I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know how to find manufacturers, and it was a lot more difficult back then. But fast forward to 2017, and I started to dabble more in creating merchandise out of my art, and I found the very first convention that I was ever able to table at. So I started to do that a little bit on the side. It was my side hustle for a few years, and I even opened a sticker manufacturing side business, and I'll talk more about that in another video. You can look up my website and see all about that. But yeah, so 2020 happened, and I was working remotely. I wasn't able to do any conventions. I got into TikTok, and I was posting more, and I was doing more with my brand, and more people were finding me. I opened an Etsy for the first time. Since I was already selling online, I now had 2 shops, and things were going so well, and my day job was going so horribly that I went out on a limb and I quit my full-time job, decided to do this full-time, and I'm actually pretty proud of myself for how well my very first year in business went. So now let's get into the different revenue streams that I have for my business. So I currently have 6 revenue streams, and in no particular order. That is my online shop, my Etsy store, my Patreon, conventions when I am able to get into them and when they are available, commissions, and sticker orders. I would like to preface this with the fact that I made an absolute minute fraction in all of these different tiers of revenue, all these different revenue streams in previous years. So I was truly going out on a limb when I quit my job and decided to take this full time. To probably no surprise to anybody, Etsy took the cake. Etsy sales were 20% of my overall annual income in 2021, and I didn't particularly push it. But I think the way I was going about doing TikTok videos and the content that I was putting out and the subject matter of that content drove people more to Etsy. But I did a couple experiments through the year about people going to Etsy versus my website, and I think it was just more of a trust thing, where people were more willing to trust an Etsy seller versus an independent shop where more things could go wrong and there's less accountability. And it also helped me with a lot of passive income where people weren't exactly seeking me out, but they found my products and purchased from me anyways. So Etsy was number one. My second biggest stream of income was my sticker orders, and they brought in 15% of my revenue, which actually kind of surprised me. I didn't think I did that well with sticker orders last year. But just real quick on that, I do make stickers for other artists, so people can send me their artwork and I will print and cut and send them to them to sell on their own. Just a little side biz. It's called Spooky Stickers if you're curious and you want to check it out. I do have good pricing. Third place was my online shop with 12.5% of my income. I don't do a whole lot different between my shop and my Etsy. Sometimes if I know that I'm going to be posting to TikTok a lot, or I'm not going to be posting content and I just want some passive income, I'll put more of my inventory on Etsy just because I know people are going to be passively shopping there rather than my shop. But I do treat them pretty much the same, and otherwise we'll split my inventory completely between them. So next in line was conventions, which I did 3 conventions in 2021, all at the end of the year when things started to kind of open up and vaccines were more readily available and that sort of thing. So I did 3 conventions and they accounted for 11% of my income. Now, I was really excited about conventions coming back. I'm still also very cautious about them. We did a lot of masking up. We were very safe, very cautious, all that stuff. But I had a completely new line of products for conventions versus the last time people shopped with me in person. And I also did a huge brand overhaul, and my displays were all completely remade, and it really made a difference. Not to mention, I didn't sell any fan art in 2021, at least at conventions. I think I had cleared out all of my fan art at the beginning of the year, but I didn't sell any fan art, and I did way better than I've ever done at conventions previously. So hopefully I'm counting on conventions being a higher revenue stream for me this year and moving forward for the foreseeable future. But of course, as things exist in the pandemic, we just have to take it one step at a time. Next on the list is Patreon, which I'm still working really, really hard to grow. It's an up and down thing, and that was 8% of my income last year. I do on Patreon, I have a $1 tier, a $5 tier, and last year I had an $8 sticker club, and I've since expanded that. But I do have a lot of people coming in to the sticker club. It's my biggest tier. And yeah, it's been a really great community for me to grow and get to know my fans, and for them to get to know me and get some really cool exclusive content. Finally, my last revenue stream is commissions, and I took 4 commissions last year, maybe 3. It was less than 1% of my income. I don't take them very often. I don't like to do commissions if I don't have to. And I don't foresee myself opening them at all in the year 2022 or anytime in the future, because I like to just keep things as passive as I can. So that is all of my income streams. Here's this beautiful pie chart of just those and how they're split up. And yeah, I really hope to add a couple more different revenue streams in there this year. And I'm hoping YouTube will be one of them. So I'm just going to quickly say that I didn't know the actual number that I made last year before fees and expenses and stuff, because I keep a spreadsheet of my expenses and profits for both my Lay Spirit and for my Spooky Stickers services. And it deducts expenses as I go. So I'm really only ever seeing my net profit, and I was really impressed at how much I made. It was even actually more than I made with my day job. But of course, any business person knows that with profits comes expenses. And I had a lot of them last year. I'm also gonna say I didn't include taxes in any of this. I didn't include like collecting sales tax. I think it's included in the number that I pulled for my overall shops, but I didn't include like what I paid in taxes. I haven't filed federal taxes yet for 2021, so pretend taxes don't exist for a moment. So I had 6 revenue streams, and I really liked when things round out, so I also have 6 different revenues of expenses. At least that's how I broke them down. I had to categorize them kind of in a general sense. So the different expense streams, if that's a phrase, that I had was manufacturing, shipping, platform fees, monthly fees, materials, and convention fees. And I'll talk about how what I categorized into each of those breakdowns. So manufacturing fees, that is me making any kind of new product or having stickers printed. I work with a local printer, so I include the cost of buying those prints from them and that sort of thing. So we're talking like if I'm making a keychain order or tote bags or anything of that sort. And last year, my manufacturing costs made up 13% of my expenses. So there was quite a few of them. I'm trying to find out how I can cut that down, but I'm also looking into more expensive types of merch, so it might it might increase. Second in line is shipping costs, and that is postage and stamps, plain and simple. And this is for online orders, this is for sticker orders, and this is for Patreon. So when I'm buying stamps to send out my Patreon sticker club, that is included in this cost. And that was almost 6% of my expenses. So already quite a chunk gone from that. Next is platform fees. And platform fees and monthly fees, I split into two separate categories for this reason. So one, platform fees I'm considering like an annual subscription. Like I put Skillshare in there because I pay an annual subscription to Skillshare and it helps me with my business. Or my P.O. box, stuff like that. Or like Etsy fees. That's where that's going to come into play because every month I make a sale, there's platform fees in there that I'm paying towards them. Also Patreon. Whereas monthly fees is going to be more like my Adobe subscription or Epidemic Sound for the music on my videos. And I think that's all that's in that one. Oh, and ShipStation, because I use ShipStation to ship bulk orders. So platform fees and coincidentally materials, which I'll get into next, were both 4% equally of my expenses. So for materials, again, I'm counting this to be both on the Lace Spirit side and the Spooky Stickers side. We're talking about business cards, displays, packaging, sticker paper, whatever I need to run my business that isn't directly related to a product. So I did actually include like backing cards or packaging of that sort into the manufacturing cost because it's all considered a product to me. Whereas like my bubble mailers or my thank you cards or my table runner for conventions, those are all in the materials. So again, that was 4%. I also had to make convention fees its own little category, and that was 3.4% of my expenses. And I mean, some people might not know, but convention fees, that's going to be your table cost, food while you're at the convention, parking, hotel costs if you have a non-local hotel, and any other thing you would feel comfortable including in that. I don't include merchandise in that since I do have an online store, so it doesn't matter if I'm spending that money towards a convention because I'll sell it anyways. So that's how I rationalize that. And lastly, I have the monthly fees, which was just under 1%, 0.9%. And again, that is like Adobe and ShipStation and Epidemic Sound. So now that I have covered all of those different percentages, here's the full beautiful pie chart, and it's not that bad, you guys. I did pretty good for myself, and I made more than I made in my full-time job the year that I quit. However, I spent almost half of that on manufacturing and expenses and all of that stuff. So there is a cost to it, and I'm hoping to fine-tune that this year and just increase everything in a very green sense. And again, I will have all of these numbers in full detail on my Patreon, available to $5 and up tiers. So if you want to see all of the dirty details, be sure to join at any time after this video goes up, because as long as you go in for at least that month, you'll have access to that and other videos where I talk about my expenses, like conventions. So all of that out of the way, I would love to talk about how my situation compared to others might be different, how I split my costs, etc., and how I feel that these numbers are a livable expense for me. So for some clarity, I live with my partner, Ryan, and we've been together for 10 years, and we share a house together, we have 2 dogs together, and we split our living expenses almost evenly. He picks up the slack a little bit because he has a full-time job that is a little more profitable than mine, but otherwise we split things evenly. So we each pay half the rent, we each pay half the groceries, etc. And I don't have a studio space outside of the home, and all of that is, you know, cost saved for me. Other than that, there are some of my business expenses that I split with my best friend Chi, such as our P.O. box. We both split that half, and we share the Adobe CC subscription every month, and that helps save me a little bit of money here and there. And there's a little thing some artists might be familiar with called group orders. Sometimes I host them with my best friend and some of their friends, and sometimes I join them with other artists, where you are all going in to buy the same product from a manufacturer, and the higher quantity of items you're ordering, the lower the individual item cost will be. So that's a way to save on money and shipping from products that are more than likely coming from China. Just a couple of ways that might be different from how some people do business and all that compared to how I'm doing business. And of course, I would also like to touch on the pros and cons of running a business yourself. This certainly isn't for everybody, and it takes a lot of self-discipline to be your own boss. I never really thought that I would have that, because it's very easy for me to be lazy, to be blunt. I can be very lazy if I want to, but there's certainly an intense motivating factor when you are only responsible for your income for the month, and, you know, social media and all of that, and posting and drawing attention to your revenue streams. So it's definitely been a huge learning experience for me, but again, it's not for everybody. So some of the pros that I have found is obviously being your own boss, being able to take time off when you want or when you need. Like, I was sick a couple weeks ago and absolutely miserable, couldn't do anything because I wasn't able to have coffee at the time. So I took almost a week off, and it sucked, but I was able to do it, and I didn't feel guilty having to call out or anything like that. The other greatest thing is you can do whatever you want with your own work. Nobody else is telling you, you need to be doing this, you need to be drawing in this style, blah, blah, blah. And that has been huge for me because I'm growing as an artist. I'm finding every day when I pick up a pencil or an Apple pen what kind of art that I want to make, what kind of subject matter I like to draw. And I guess the only way this would be a situation where somebody would be telling you what you need to be doing is like with Patreon. You know, I actually shifted gears quite intensely between 2021 and 2022 because my sticker club, I was drawing mostly girls and certain themes and aesthetics, and I switched entirely over to like a more loose and freestyle, and I was drawing like entities and little friends and creatures and very whimsical things. So there was a slight decline in that because people were following me for a certain thing and wanted a certain thing from me, and I was no longer providing it, so they left. And that's fine. You got to do what's best for you, what's sustainable for you, what's fun for you at the end of the day, and then just your people will find you from that. Of course, another pro is constantly feeling accomplished because you get to see yourself every day growing and your business growing. And even though it's not always an obvious positive thing, like if you ever are able to take a step back when things get really overwhelming, you can see like, wow, I started at this. I remember being excited about that. Now I'm up here and I'm excited about that. And who knows where I'm going to be in 6 months. So that, and just being able to watch yourself grow. With the self-discipline, you also have to be self-motivated and make sure that you're posting to the right platforms and the right places and the right people are hearing you. And it can be very stressful. But some of the cons that I've found in this lifestyle is obviously there's not a guaranteed paycheck ever. Every month, and I had this anxiety a lot in 2021 where it's like the start of every month, I'm like, okay, last month was great. Can we do it again? And some months I couldn't. Some months I made half of what I made the previous month, and it was hard. You just have to keep pushing. But with that push, you're also fighting social media algorithms, and it can be extremely discouraging. I know there's a lot of creatives in the field and out of the field who experience creative block, and some people might not be able to handle juggling everything that goes into this, or not having a routine. There's a lot of cons as well as pros, and you just have to kind of maybe make a vision board and see what you're willing to do and what you're willing to put up with. But every day is a new day, and every week is new, and you just have to take the opportunity into your hands and do whatever you can with it. I don't ever know that this is going to be always my full-time job. Sometimes I worry in times like this that I'm gonna have to go and get like a part-time job or something, but the drive is there to always be my own boss, and I don't ever want to work for anybody else again. So just a couple more parting words before we wrap this up. I want to remind everybody that success does not look the same to everybody. If you go and join my Patreon and you see the numbers and you be like, Ashley, that is not a livable wage, I would disagree, because I've been able to do a lot in this last year and put a lot more into my business and grow in ways that I didn't think that I would be able to. But I mean, in another 2 years, I could look back on this and be like, geez, how did I ever live off of that? I am making slightly less net profit. I'm making slightly less than I did in the last year of my full-time job, but I'm so much more fulfilled. I can't say my anxiety is less, because there's always going to be something that triggers that, but I definitely noticed that I take things one day at a time, and I look around me and I'm more grateful for where I've been and what I've accomplished. Another thing that I didn't really talk about is social media audience does not equate success. It does not equate sales. My biggest audience is on TikTok, and I have like just under 41,000 followers. I don't even reach a fraction of those followers every time I post. And I have like 6,000 followers on Instagram. That's nothing compared to some small businesses I follow who have hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm still making it work. And as long as you are putting yourself out there in multiple ways and, you know, being the best you can be and all of that, people are going to find you. They're going to want to support you. So yes, even little social media babies like me can still have a flourishing full-time business and not have the audience or the numbers to back it up. Another piece of advice is there's not a one-size-fits-all boot to this self-employed artist thing. Like, not all of the revenue streams that I have are going to work for somebody else. Obviously, not all artists offer sticker manufacturing to other artists, because that's like a huge time thing that not everybody has time to work with. And there's other artists out there who have YouTube monetized, or they have sponsorships or podcasts or other things. So you just have to try a little bit of everything, see what works for you, and go with it. And finally, if you are thinking about becoming a full-time artist and taking the leap and quitting your jobs, I don't want to recklessly just say do it, but if you have a plan, if you have like kind of the momentum built up, maybe a little bit of a savings as a cushion, definitely have a savings. Definitely have a savings. Go for it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, actually, that's terrible advice. There are a lot of horrible things that can happen, but if you have a support system who believes in you, if you have even a couple of fans that are huge fans that are willing to support you and your endeavors, go for it. Again, I can't say what's the worst that can go wrong, but it's like, you never know until you try. So, thank you for sticking with me through what is probably a very long-winded video. And I want to thank all of my amazing patrons. I want to thank my family and my friends who have made this first year of my small business extremely successful to me and who've supported me, and especially to my partner Ryan, because I literally could not do any of this without his help. He's a big help at conventions if you go and watch my convention vlogs. And yeah, don't forget to check out my Patreon if you want to see the real numbers. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see more of my content. And other than that, I wish you guys all the best in your endeavors, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!